Good afternoon. Good afternoon. It's your boy Jay Taylor, Voices for the Voiceless. It is January 4th, Saturday, 2025. I got to get used to saying that. But yeah, man, peace of blessings to everybody that this video will come across. And just going to get straight to it. Um, as the title says, the propaganda's machines final attempt before January 20th. And this one is beyond, ridiculous. I mean, we've done several videos. You could go through our catalog on the propaganda machine, aka um, mainstream media framing certain narratives and false, propaganda against their political opponents. In this particular case, we have the president elect, Donald Trump. He had, when he was running for office as the presidential candidate, he had all these indictments and all these nefarious charges that came down on on him, mainly from state, local government, because federally, him becoming the president, he can just dismiss himself from those charges. So they try to attack him on a state level, which all of those cases, except for this hush money trial in New York, basically just dwindled off. Remember they kept, oh, he's a convicted felon, he's a convicted felon, he's a convicted felon. So they wanted to run with that narrative for the whole campaign to try to taint his image. Why would y'all vote for a convicted felon? But see, what they did is concocted these ridiculous charges in New York. They had the hush money charge with something, some business dealings. He's supposed to pay somebody off or something that they really can't prove, but it sounds good. You know what I'm saying? So by him becoming the president, you would think that they would just, hey man, we just gonna let bygones be bygones and just push it to the side. But no, the state of New York wants to move forward. They found him guilty. Now they want to move forward with sentencing him before he takes office in this January 20th. So they want to sentence him on January 10th. Consequently, see, these are the games that they play. You know what I'm saying? So now, because until he's sentenced, you can't hang he's not a convicted felon until he's actually sentenced. They know he's not going to do a day in jail. They're not going to be able to get any, real punishment out of this. It's just a propaganda machine using this is their final crash out, because they're not going to get nothing out of this but to say, oh, he's a convicted felon. Because now we have, quote unquote, officially sentence him, whatever the sentencing may be, community service, whatever, who knows. But we know that the Democratic Party has used the judicial system. They have weaponized the judicial system to attack their political opponents. In this case, Donald Trump, the president. So I'm gonna play a little bit for y'all, some stuff, and we can stop and kind of talk about it so you can get a better grasp on this situation.
In fact, many believe the tide changed when it was even filed as a criminal charge against him. People started to lean in more. But now that he's won, does the next set of events even matter in terms of what the judge will do?
Well, look, I think it matters because it's another reminder that radical Democrat political activists abuse the criminal justice system in New York, all to create a political talking point. Look, Ellie is exactly right, our legal analyst here. This would have never been charged this way if it weren't Donald Trump and he weren't running for president. Should have never been charged this way. He should have never faced this. It was all done so they could call him a convicted felon during the campaign, which of course they succeeded at.
And that's exactly what happened. That's all they're doing this for. They're crashing out. This is an embarrassment to the judicial system. It's an embarrassment to the rest of the world that the country would actually go forward with prosecuting their own president. It's insane. These extreme leftists, and they're right in bed with the mainstream media. And by the way, this is CNN. You know, we already know leftist media.
Miscalculated is that the American people knew from the get-go that it was partisan politics, and they soundly rejected this in November. So Trump's, I guess, going to get one more bite at the apple here to make the point that these Democrats in New York elected, Alvin Bragg elected, Marchand elected, these people are elected by the people, and they took their jobs in public service and used them for political ends instead of using all of their time to throw the bad people in New York, which there are plenty of them on the streets, in jail. That's the real lasting impact of this. The abuse of the system for political purposes when New York City is descending into a hellhole right now.
Boy. So we got to follow up with some of the mainstream liberal media reactions to the biggest news of yesterday involving Judge Marchand, the woke Manhattan judge that presided over the hush money case. Him coming out and deciding to sentence former President Trump, now President-elect Trump, before the inauguration. Now, the reason why Judge Marchand is doing this is because he wants to solidify Trump as a convicted felon before the inauguration. Okay, this is all for the media. This is all for the Democrats. This is all for the virtue signal of having Trump be a convicted felon. That's what this is. Okay, however, he's not actually really going to punish Trump in any real meaningful way outside of labeling him a felon. Even though we all know that this trial was rigged and that it was a sham. Even Eli Honig of CNN's own chief legal analyst, has essentially said so himself. And
let's stop right there because he raised a lot of great points. Shout out to Black conservative perspective. Yeah, they're doing all of this in New York, where the taxpayers have to pay for this nonsense. When you got so much going on in the state of New York, you got illegal immigrants burning up women on the subway. You got some dude that pushed another guy for no apparent reason off the platform on the subway, almost killed the man. He's in critical condition in the hospital. You got so much going on in the state of New York that you want to compile this farce of a trial against the president-elect right before he's inaugurated. This is insanity, man. You know, and like he said, everybody know that this case was a sham. Even a lot of the people that are part of the DNC, that are part of the Democratic Party, they know this was a sham. So for them to carry this out, they crashing out, man. And make no mistake, I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. I consider myself an independent. But the way that these Democrats have became so extreme, you know, they make the Republicans look like, man, like they've been right about them all along. I'm just seeing how extreme they have become for them to do the things that they're doing. I mean, you got the president, Joe Biden, that was selling parts of the border wall out of spite, knowing that Trump is going to come in to. So he's selling the border wall for dirt cheap to whoever is buying it. And then when Trump comes in office, they're going to charge Trump double what he paid for it to sell it back. So that, you know, they going to not only double flip, they going to quadruple their money. You know, just out of spite. This how far left he's being, how petty they is.
There's a good chance that this could be overturned on appeal, as I explained to you guys yesterday.
This in USA for the South, so the SDNY was called the Sovereign District, as you often refer to it, Ellie. I forgot the SDNY instead. All right, Ellie, you and I predicted the idea there wasn't going to be much of a penalty, if any at all, but there's no jail time, no community service, no fines, as we know it now, nothing.
So no jail time. I was wrong about that. No, not even no community service, no fines. Just the fact to call this man a convicted felon. Dog.
What do you think of this decision, given you didn't the case should have been brought in the first place?
Well, it's an unsatisfying outcome, I think, for certainly the district attorney, but I think it points up ultimately that this was a case of prosecutorial overreach. I don't think there's any real way around that at this point. I think Alvin Bragg would defend this case by saying he looked carefully at the facts and the law and he believed it was necessary to impose accountability. And I should say, as I always do, Alvin and I were former colleagues at the aforementioned Southern District of New York. He was a colleague and a friend. But I think the vast majority of the American public now views it.
Alvin Bragg in New York is a black dude prosecutor that just seems to have a hard on for Trump for some reason to continue to want to be on. It should just kind of put you in the mind state of a male Fonnie Willis, you know, just want to go after this man like he was been given instructions to do so. It makes absolutely no sense to put yourself in a position and keep playing with Donald Trump like he ain't finna be the president, and you want to go out your way to go after the president of the United States as a prosecutor in New York. Are you insane? Are you trying to create enemies with the president and his administration before he takes office? Like, you gotta be on the crash out move, bro. Ain't no way in the world.
Case as I do, which is that it was a colossal, world historic episode of prosecutorial overreach. He took this case, which the feds had rejected, which the FEC had rejected, which his predecessor as DA had chosen not to charge and later said would have been a huge problem.
Now let's stop right there. The feds rejected, other states rejected because they knew it was nonsense. That lets you know if the feds didn't want to take it, if other jurisdictions, nobody wanted to take up this case, you went forward with it. Everybody know it's a sham. The man becomes the president elect, and right before 10 days before he inaugurated, you want to sentence him with no real punishment. What kind of insanity is this? Embarrassment.
A charge against Donald Trump that has never been brought against any other person in American history. He took an expired New York State misdemeanor, piled another expired New York State misdemeanor on top of it, and piled a federal election fraud violation in state court on top of that. Nobody's ever been charged or convicted that way before.
Now, does that sound familiar to a lot of my people that have been advocating for kids? They came up with expired charges to charge Donald Trump in this situation. Expired charges. They went back and compiled and concocted a charge that nobody has ever been charged with to charge this man with. The same way they went back in time to revamp the Mann Act charge against R. Kelly. The same way they went back to dig up some old misdemeanor in President Trump case to charge this man. The same way they did with that Mann Act bullshit against R. Kelly. Now, you can't tell me this man was not targeted the same way Kells was targeted. And I don't care if you don't like him. I don't care if you think whatever. You an injustice anywhere is an injustice everywhere. So if they could do this to R. Kelly and Donald Trump, who is the dang on president, what does that leave anybody else that's just a regular citizen? So we can't pick and choose and cherry pick who we want to say just because we like them or we dislike them.
And so now the ultimate result of this, Laura, legally is essentially a big fat zero. And politically, I think it backfired badly on Alvin Bragg and on Democrats.
Clearly, Bragg would disagree. And of course, the prosecutors who endeavored to prove their case beyond a reasonable doubt. But let's set aside for a moment the views you have on this issue and what the judge actually said. The judge didn't view it in the same way. The judge's rationale was looking essentially at the fact that this is a president-elect, but also obviously looking at the balance you have to strike between how to actually get accountability in the form of financial payment, one, or also to hold him accountable versus via jail time. His decision, as you know, Ellie, he considered the immunity argument and the DOJ's policy of not prosecuting a sitting president, but that the idea of trying to preserve the finality of it. That statement, I think people are kind of scratching their heads about. What does he mean to preserve the finality of it, given that there'll be appeals and there are ongoing appeals here?
Yeah, so one thing Judge Merchan said in his opinion, which I think is spot on, is nobody really knows. We've never been in this situation before with somebody weeks away from becoming president. And can that?
We've never been in this situation before with somebody that's weeks away from being the president. Like, this is a sign of weakness, cowardice. This is some whole ass shit, man. Pardon my French. This some punk ass shit. I gotta call it a spade. And you know, Trump just sued ABC in the defamation lawsuit, which once he won, they did the right thing and said, hey, let's settle out of court. Because they knew they were spewing false narratives and propaganda on this man. Probably the reason why he almost got his head blown off. Y'all running around here on the media telling everybody in the public that this man is the second coming to Adolf Hitler. Yes, irresponsible, lies, dangerous. So now he's suing NBC. The ABC settled out for about 15 million. That's chump change for what Trump going after for NBC. He wants hundreds of millions of dollars. And now that he's the president, y'all might as well. And see, the propaganda machine didn't work this time. You know what I'm saying? They tried to do everything in their power. And thanks to your former president, Obama, that made it possible for the media to not have to be fact-checked when they spew out this rhetoric on their platform. Obama made it so that the media doesn't have to be factual. You know what I'm saying? Do your research on that. That's why they can go after people. And, you know, it was a time when they used to have journalistic integrity. Obama killed all that and said, oh, yeah, you can use propaganda and false narratives in the media. That's crazy. You know what I'm saying? So, man, I'm not going to stay here too long, man. I just wanted to play a little bit of that, chop it up with y'all, man, because this is unprecedented what we witnessing right here. You know, they actually going to go forward with trying to sentence the man. And the man got enough on his plate. He don't need this stress. He got to come in and be the president. Y'all, whether you like this man, dislike him, everybody, every American citizen should want him to be clear-minded, to just focus on being the president. That's enough stress as it is. Putting this stress on this man, he already 70-some years old, almost 80 years old, about to take office with all the stuff that been happening with him, all these erroneous court dates and back and forth and campaigning, man, all this stress this man been over. I tip my hat off to the president-elect Donald Trump. January 20th cannot get here soon enough. Voices for the voiceless, man. Once again, hope y'all enjoyed this video. Hope you found it in good spirits and good hearts. May God bless you all. And we love you. And till the next time, we shall see you again. Peace.